I want to just start things off right away, kick it off by talking about, what was it that inspired you to focus your career on workplace belonging and human connection?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's a combination of my kind of personal story and my own journey, and then a little bit of what's happening in the world and kind of paying attention to what people need. I think that that's the best way to run a speaking business, or frankly, any business, right? You take yourself and you match it with something that people actually need. You're solving a problem. So for me, as a young kid, I was picked on a lot. I didn't have like a ton of friends, or I was just kind of like weird. You and I talk about summer camp, but that was one of the first places where I was like, oh, it's cool to be weird. Like, the coolest kids are weird. The coolest kids are the other people being picked on. Like, oh, actually, the coolest women are the people that are also like kind of different, like all of this stuff, which is like not what you kind of get growing up in a big city. I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, went to a big public high school, over 2,000 kids. And one of my earliest experiences of feeling kind of a sense of belonging was the first year of high school, freshman year. I wanted to play a sport. We're on a podcast, but those of you that have ever known me, like, I'm not that big of a guy. So like football is not going to happen. Soccer, our soccer team's like the best team in the state. Like, people try out and get recruited or whatever. So I went out for one of the only sports left, which was, people out there maybe can guess, cross country, right? I didn't even know what the sport was. I assumed it was skiing. But it's actually running. You just go run a few miles, right? Or run hill workouts. So a couple of weeks into practice, my coach, who's this hard-nosed Boston guy, I'm like doing the hill workout. I'm smiling, kind of having fun, being like, wow, exercise. I'm doing a sport after school. I'm so cool. And my coach,
right?
Like,
You're happy to be there.
I'm just happy to participate. I'm just happy I'm doing something at 3:00 on a Tuesday, right? Like, I wanted to play a sport. They're going to give me the jersey. Oh my gosh, it says Cambridge on it, like with Adidas, right? Like, cool. And my coach is like this hard-nosed Boston guy. And he just starts screaming at me, like, what the hell are you doing smiling, kid? Stop smiling. Stop puking, kid. Stop puking. And after that, the team nicknamed me Smiley. I was like the slowest and shortest kid on the team. I like didn't place at any of our races. Like, I wasn't actually good, but I was like Smiley, and I get everyone pumped up. I do like, we get in the huddle before a race, and I'd be like, all right, everybody, we're going to have the best race ever. Cambridge represent on 3. Let's go. And I ended up running all 4 years of cross country, indoor and outdoor track. So 12 seasons. I became captain my senior year. I was still one of like the slowest kids on the team, but I had a role to play.
But you were consistent.
And I belonged. And that was my first experience. Like, what is belonging? It's like not being the best. It's not even being like the most incredible, most accomplished person. It's having a role. It's knowing your role. And I think the problem is that most people go out, are in the world today, and they don't feel this basic sense of belonging. Like, they don't feel that way when they go to work. They maybe don't even feel that way in their community or in their life. And the data supports that, right? 50% of Americans are lonely. 40% of employees don't trust their colleagues. 40% don't trust their coworkers. I've seen recent data that shows 80% of employees feel a degree of loneliness at work. And we've seen this with the shift to hybrid and people not meeting their colleagues or their manager or their boss anymore. So realizing that, hey, like, this is a major issue that people are facing. Belonging is a core human need, yet people don't feel it every day. And often leaders don't really know how to create that sense of belonging at work. So that's really what I see as my role these days.
No, it's a fantastic origin story, and it just flows so naturally. There's so many things to, dice and slice in what you said. I don't know how I'm going to connect this idea of fight or flight, but we talk about fight or flight, and you can talk about grit or survival or overcoming obstacles and the natural thing of that. But in the sociological, even anthropological, the origins of humans, we were hunters and gatherers. Let's just deduce that meant a couple of us mammals, Homo sapiens, were kind of hanging out, doing something together, i.e. belonging. I just want to underscore, I too participated in high school sports, and I was not all county, all state. I wasn't even captain, but some of the greatest memories, either at camp or in my sports world, was, I mean, I was last doubles on a very good tennis team. I don't think I provided a lot of points into our you know production, if you will, but it was just such a great memory for me, and my friends, my nearest and dearest friends, were both number one and number two singles, and they were very encouraging. And to this day, I still play with them, and it's still such a great memory.